Hi everyone, we'll get started in just a few minutes.
Hello.
Hi, you made it.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure
That's
what.
okay. Hey, with Zoom, does anybody ever know what's actually happening?
We really don't.
I think we can give people a few more minutes to join. Gonna pull up my notes here. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
Good.
Oh, you know what I did? I pulled up the link for tonight.
Oh, yeah, I was worried about that. I was like, ooh, I don't know.
My apologies, darling.
That's okay. Okay, we're recording. We're live on Facebook. It's 6 o'clock. We have a couple people. Hi, Laura. Hi, Jasmine. Hi, Maria. Hi, Holly. I'm excited for this. This is going to be great. If you guys have questions, we're going to try and get to a couple questions at the end. So if you have questions, you can definitely go ahead and type those in the chat and we'll get them on the list just as we're going. Okay. Okay, and we're live. Oh my gosh, this is so great. Okay, hi, let's get started. Um, so I first encountered Maria's work on Instagram when I found her at Girl Conductor, and I was so excited to be able to follow her and see what she's been up to. I think your account is great. I think you're great. I think this is just going to be really fun. So, part of what we've been doing with these webinars is I wanted to learn from the best people. So selfishly, I get who I want to get. And then I figured, why not put my learning experience out on the World Wide Web so that everybody else can learn too. So I recently saw your post about your summer camp that's coming up. And I told you I wish that I was a 9-year-old girl so that I could participate. Can you talk a little bit about what inspired you to take that on?
Yes, first of all, thank you, Caitlin, for inviting me to your platform. I really appreciate it. Um, Honored that you would want to have little old me on your platform. So thank you so very much. I really appreciate that. Summer camp. Well, I have been a camp counselor or camp director for the last maybe 5, 6 years. And I enjoy summer camp. I look forward to it every year. At the University of Missouri St. Louis, we offer a high school camp called Acapalooza that is sponsored by my mentor, Dr. Jim Henry. And we have like over 150 kids who come to this camp and they stay on campus for 4 days. And it's absolutely amazing. But I noticed when I got to my current job at the St. Louis Children's Choirs, we didn't have a middle school camp. So it was an elementary camp and a high school camp, but no middle school camp. So I was like, let's start a middle school camp. So we started Acapalooza Junior, the middle school version of that camp, where we don't have the stay overnight component, but we still learn a cappella music and they play on the concert on Friday. Well, last year I was like, I love doing this for my organization, but I want a camp that's specified for girls. I really want to have all girl camp. So I was planning on having one this summer, but when COVID hit and shut everything down, I was like, oh, maybe this won't happen. But I was like, nope, I still want to do it. I can do it virtually. Let's figure out how to do this virtually. And my good friend Morgan Ludick, who I met last summer at a CME workshop, she called me and she's like, Maria, I have this idea about a camp. And I was like, oh my God, I have the same idea about a camp. And so we like put both of those ideas together. And this week is elementary camp. And when I tell you, it has been so fun, so amazing. We're teaching them how to write songs and how to be creative and express themselves via various art forms. So that's dance and singing and instruments and all kind of stuff. We have a music science experiment every day. And Morgan and I we've been having fun with these costumes. So we are dressed up in various costumes every day. And it's so much fun. We capped it at 23 so we can see all the girls on one screen, but we've been able to, we have girls from all across the country. So from California to New York and places in between, we have girls. It has been so much fun. I look forward to it. And Friday, tomorrow is our last day of elementary camp. And I'm sad because I'm going to miss those babies, but next week I get new babies with the middle school camp. So it's been an amazing experience.
I love that. We're going to have to do a whole nother session on like online teaching and stuff like that. Cause I work at a girls' school and I have a women's chorus. So I'm all about like girl power and, you know, everything. And I'm doing a summer camp next 2 weeks from now. So for the whole month of July. So yeah, we'll have to trade some ideas and stuff.
Definitely.
Well, I could read your bio for everybody, but I'm not going to do that. So I think it's better coming from you. So just tell us a little bit about who you are as a teacher, as a conductor, as a musician.
Sure. Well, I'm Maria A. Ellis from St. Louis, Missouri. I'm a graduate of the University of Missouri, St. Louis. I have a degree in music education, K through 12 certified. I absolutely love music and I love conducting a choir. I started conducting choirs when I was 12 years old at True Gospel Miracle Church in St. Louis. And I fell in love with it, but never knew that I could have a career as a conductor. I thought that the only careers that you can have in music was to be either a music teacher or to be a symphony conductor. And at that time, I didn't play any instruments. And I was like, well, I don't really want to teach in a classroom. And I didn't play an instrument. So I was like, well, I guess I'll just go the business route. So I had a job at AT&T for 12 years. And while I was there, my church, Lively Stone Church, decided that they wanted to revamp the children's choir and gave me the opportunity to revamp it. And I absolutely fell in love with it. I started, when the choir was given to me, it had like 7 kids in it. And that was in April. And by September, I had grew that choir to 50 kids. And it was amazing. It was so fun. It was really all I thought about. But then I realized that there were certain skills that I didn't have because I didn't have the formal education. And so I was like, I told my husband, I was like, okay, I want to quit. I want to go back and get a music education degree. And he was like, no, you have children. And I was like, I know. I was like, but I want to quit. I was like, I think this is the right thing for us to do. And so we worked it out where I was able to, actually, the job was laying off. And if you got laid off, they pay for 2 years of schooling. And so I was like, can y'all lay me off? I wasn't a part of the layoff because I had seniority, but I was like, if you don't mind, I'll give somebody my job and I'll take the benefits of being laid off. And they were only supposed to pay for 2 years, but some type of way, we're going to call it God, they ended up paying for all 4 years. So I had the state paid for me to go to school. And then on top of that, I received scholarships and things like that. And so from there, I had a job with the St. Louis Children's Choirs. I'm the community engagement manager. I also conduct our newest elementary ensemble. And then I conduct a high school chorus for the Sheldons, the City of Music All-Star Chorus. I conduct that as well. I'm a church choir director. I love music education. So And I'm all for female empowerment. So I started the Girl Conductor brand that it's one of these beautiful t-shirts that I'm wearing right here. But started that brand just to empower females because, again, it's something that I didn't see growing up. Females who were on the main stage conducting choirs and orchestras and things like that. I just didn't see it. And so I wanted younger girls to know, like, yes, I know you may see this as a male-dominated field. It's not. Women, we do it too, and we do it very well. And so that's where that came from. And that's me. I'm just your educator who loves life, loves music, and I'm very passionate about what we do. It means the world to me.
Yes, love it. Love it. I know. I love the Girl Conductor thing. We were at my school did like a joint thing at Carnegie Hall, and this, I teach at an all girls school, and this middle school student leaned over to me, and the only female conductor that conducted an ensemble that day got onto stage, and she leaned over and she said, "How come they have a girl conductor?" And I was so sad that, they had never seen that. And so that was my, moment of action to make sure that I'm showing videos of female conductors pretty much every time I show a clip in class. So we're so grateful for your willingness to share your wealth of knowledge with us. And as you mentioned, when we were talking, you mentioned that you've developed a library of books for your children's chorus. Can you tell us why you started it and how it has impacted your organization?
Yes. So again, we had a brand new children's choir ensemble that started in January of 2020. And it started because, unfortunately, St. Louis is really segregated. Like literally, the Black people live in one spot and all the white people live in another spot, and you got a mixture of people that live in this spot right here. And so the area where I grew up at was predominantly African-American, and I noticed that those children weren't participating in our children's choir program. Now, our children's choir program, we have over 450 kids in the St. Louis Children's Choirs, but they pretty much come from around the same parts of the city, the West County part, which is predominantly white. And I just kept saying, like, there's so much talent in the north side of the city that we need to tap into that, to those kids so they can have these experiences. Because when I was a kid, the St. Louis Children's Choirs gave me my first experience with choral music. They had an honor choir, and I was able to participate in that when I was in 6th grade. And so when I decided to get the music degree, naturally, that's where I wanted to work. I mean, it's an excellent organization. But I noticed that they weren't represented in that area. And so we did some magic, and we worked and really networked to get the choir going in the area. And the first day of rehearsal, I passed out music to the kids, and they're doing call and response, but I noticed that they're not looking at the words. Some of them are not looking at the words. And I was like, guys, don't wait for me to speak. Just look at the words, and it'll tell you what's going next. And one of the moms called to me, and she was like, yeah, she said, my daughter's having a great time, but, she struggles in reading. And I said, oh, that's what it is. There's a reading issue here. And I said, okay. I said, well, I'll fix this. And my approach for fixing it was not to ever tell the kids, you can't read. No, never did that. But what I started doing is I started bringing books into the rehearsal. And instead of giving them a formal break, because we give them a break where they have a snack or whatnot, was for me to read or actually sing a book to them during rehearsal. So every week we would get a new book, and I would sing it, or I would rap it, or I would jazz it up, or I would use all these crazy voices that I have inside of me. I was using all of those to get them interested in reading, number one, and to have a love for it. And what we would do as soon as I got done reading a book, like we would do like reading comprehension. Okay, what was this about? What was the plot? What was the setting? Who are the main characters? What's the main idea? Like we started rolling off all of those different things that you normally get in a normal reading comprehension test or whatnot. And it was working well. And so then I said, okay, guys, I'm challenging you all. I want to see if we can read 150 books by the end of the season. And they read, that next week we came back, they had already read 75. And I said, okay, this challenge is not big enough. I said, okay, yeah, all right. So now, since you guys did so well, I'm challenging you all to read 500 books as a choir, we need to read 500 books by the end of the season. And they was like, okay. And so my plan for them was to build a library of books for them that they could come check out books that look like them. And that goes, I know we're going to talk into equity, but something simple as a book that looks like you is so important. And it's not just a book that looks like you, but it's a book that's not about slavery or civil rights or, something where we were being oppressed or something like that. No, nobody want to read that. You just want to read a fun book. So I started a library and just put it out on Amazon and put it on Facebook and like, hey friends, I have an Amazon list. If you could donate a book, I'd be very grateful. And people started donating books and sending books to me. And I've become I'm already a book lover, but even more, like every time I'm in the store, I'm buying books. I just love books. So that whenever we are able to come back together, they have access to all of these different books who represent them and not in ways that are slavery and things like that. So that's where the library idea came from. I currently have about 200 books in my library, and it's super, super excited. But also, our season would have ended May 9th if Corona hadn't happened. But by May 2nd, we were over 500 books. So my students achieved their goal of reaching 500 books. And my prize to them was if we read 500 books, then we're going skating. So as soon as it's safe and the skating ring is open, we are having a choir skate trip that I'm going to do for them, because I want them to have a love for reading. If you can't read, I don't care how well you read music. If you can't read words, there's no point. So that's what we're doing.
That's incredible. That's so great. I'd love, I feel like, a few years back as educators, there was this huge push in public education to have all of the music teachers help with the reading part of it. And music educators pushed back and they said, that's not our job, but it is our job. It is our job to make sure that our students are successful. And if choir is the one class that they like and they love you as their teacher, why should we, of course we should be encouraging them to read. So I think that's amazing.
But not only just encouraging them, I'm still teaching music because right. Okay, so let's take this book. This is one of my favorite books, Mary Had a Little Glam. And it's just the cutest little book about this little girl. She is always dressed up for school every day or whatnot. And so she gets all her friends to dress up, and now everybody's glamified and beautiful when they go to school. And then they get to recess and it's muddy and they realize we can't play like this. And so they have to fix their clothes. But when I did this book for my kids, I didn't read it. I sang it. So we're still doing music. On TikTok, I think the Dr. Seuss books, people are rapping. I have a mic set up, and my daughter and I, we rap Dr. Seuss books. We're still doing music. So we're not taking the music out of it. We're just adding it into something else that's more practical for them, and that's books. So if I can help you I always tell my kids, none of you will fail with me. You will not fail being a part of my program, because I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure that you're successful. And I mean that for any kid that I have access to, you're going to be successful in my program. So the thing that we had to fix was reading. Okay, let's fix it and let's keep rolling.
Yeah, I love it. I'm buying that book.
You should.
That sounds so great. Good. I love it. And yeah, and same, in my classroom, we'll rap to books, and there's a part where they're calling and responding back and we're singing to books. It's always tied in, but yeah, I love that. Do you have a published library of all of your favorites somewhere? Is that accessible, or is that kind of your thing?
No, it's not mine. No. I just need to put it on my website, which I'm in process of revamping the website, but I just need to put the list on there. But if anybody wants it, they can just email me at info@girlconductor.com and I'll send it to you. No, it's not a private list, because I want other people to have these books in their library. Sometimes I think it's selfish when we make things 100% private. Well, how do other people ever know if they don't? Yeah. So no, yeah. It's not. No. If you want access to it, just email me and I'll send it to you.
Okay, you'll be getting an email right after this. I was going to ask, how do you go about choosing books? And is there a vetting process? Do you want to talk briefly about that?
Yes. So I'm a big kid at heart. I'm just a big kid. And I know they say like you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. I kind of do that a little bit. So the cover is what attracts me to the book first, and then I'll go in and read a few pages of it while like I'm in the store or something like that. But if the title and the cover don't attract me, I'm probably not going to read it. If it says anything about, again, slavery or the Civil War, I mean, not Civil War, the Civil Rights Act and all that kind of stuff, like those books are great, but to me, that's not fun. And I don't want to read about that and I don't want to think about that. That's history. And I think history is sacred, especially Black history. I think that in slavery and civil rights, we were like fighting for our rights. I think that's sacred, and I don't think that should be made fun. And so I try not to have those books as fun books. Now I may incorporate those books in a different lesson, but not as far as the fun process. But right now with books, I'm just love, they got all kind of books out now, like books that they didn't have when we was kids. Like I think I got a book about somebody having a butt with a crack in it. And it's hilarious. And of course I had to buy it. I mean, like, why would I not have that in my library? We're talking about a butt. So things like that really attract me. Things where characters, one of my favorite books is The Day the Crayons Quit. If you don't have that book, and that's not a Black book, that's just a book about crayons, but it is hilarious how all these crayons write these letters to like the little boy who owns this crayon box. And they write letters to him and they like, look, like the blue crayon is like, you use me too much. Like I'm a stub because you always use me. Pick another color. And the yellow and the orange crayon are fighting because they want to be the color of the sun. But it's just so brilliant. And so things like that are what really attract me to the books. Any things that I can laugh about or we can have fun with, or I can make up some voices to. I love those books. I love the Llama Llama books. That little llama, he is so, I know we can't say we can't say that kids are bad. So technically he's not a kid, but he is so bad. And I just love him. I just love him so much. And so that was one of the first, that book got me into singing books. My nephew had the book at home. Yes, Jasmine in the comments says, Llama Llama mad at mama. Yes. So I had the book, it was like Christmas Eve, and I picked the book up and I was like, Llama Llama mad at mama. And I just started singing it, and like everybody in the house just started, like a lot of grown people, everybody just started like looking and like, what are you doing? And so my daughter was on the phone with her boyfriend, and he was like, what is your mom doing? And she was like, oh, she's singing a book. He's like, well, tell her to do it again. And like, just books like that I could just get into and they're just fun. That's what I'm looking for. I love all kinds of books, all kinds of books.
I love it. Have your kids influenced your book selection process? Like, do you have favorite books as a mom?
Yes. Yes. So we have a lot of Minecraft books. We have Roblox books. My daughter is into Babysitter's Club, which is funny because I was into Babysitter's Club when I was a kid. So we have lots of Babysitter Club books. And then anything that they're interested in, I just figure other kids are interested in too. So we have a lot of double copy books. Like I may buy them a copy for their library at home, but I'll buy another one for my library. But yeah, they, of course, I'm always curious to see what they are into, because I want to find a way to incorporate that into my lessons. So TikTok is hot right now. Roblox is hot right now. Minecraft is still hot. So I try to find ways to incorporate those skills that they're into, like in just regular life, and incorporate that in a lesson to kind of draw them in. So yes, anything that they're reading, there's a copy of it in my library.
I love it. So let's talk a little bit about equity. You mentioned when you first came into the St. Louis Children's Chorus, it was predominantly white, and there were not a lot of kids from the other side of town, for lack of better knowledge of St. Louis, joining the chorus. How did you go about changing that? And what does equity look like in the choral classroom?
Okay, well, let's talk to St. Louis Children's Class first. So, when I first joined, and I just noticed the diversity of our chorus. I'm the kind of person, I just ask questions respectfully, but I just always ask questions. So the first question I ask is, why are there no Black people in the choir? And a response was given, and I was like, okay. And that was one response was that, there's a transportation barrier, which I understand because the office is about 30 minutes from the North County area. And I was like, okay. And I said, well, why don't we see if we can have a location that's in that area? And they were like, okay, we can look into it. And it was kind of placed on the back burner a little bit. And so what we started doing is, my thing was, what can we do now? Like, I don't want to wait 3 years for what can we do right now? And one of the things we could have done right now was like, I said, where's the honor choir program that I participated in? And so I got that restarted. It's our Music Made Together Elementary Honor Choir. And what I did with that is I targeted Black schools for that honor choir experience. So I went and talked to all those teachers, networked with all those teachers that I've been friends with, some that mentor me, and said, okay, I need 6 kids to come be a part of this choir. And then we combined that choir with the white kids from St. Louis Children's Choirs to make one big choir. And on those days when those kids are together, we dress them all in the same shirt so nobody in the audience can tell who's from what school. Like, that doesn't matter. But with the kids, when they come in, they get a name tag and it has like an animal on it. And we separate them by animal. And that's who you eat lunch with. That's who you have snack time with. And that way they can get to know each other as kids, which I love, because now the conversation is about, oh, well, I like, you remember when, do kids still like flip the bottle? Like throw the bottle and flip it? Is that still a thing? So,
Yeah.
Okay, so like all kids like that. So we did those type of activities. We did activities where they could just dance together. We do the boogie down. I think some people call it the popsicle. It was called the gigolo when I was a kid. But we do dances so they can all dance together, and we build community in those spaces. So after we did that for 2 years, I was like, okay, it's time. Let's start the choir. So I went to my university, which is located in that area, North County, and I was like, can we have a space to have rehearsal? And they was like, yeah, go for it. And so we were able to, have a space, and they don't charge us for the space, which I think is absolutely amazing. But we're able to have the rehearsal in their community. So that eliminates transportation. We also start working on the skills that, that I can see that they were lacking. And I always meet kids where they are. I think when we talk about equality and all that kind of stuff, that's great. But if I'm not starting on the same playing field, the equality doesn't matter. So equity gives me the right to be on the same level as you. So to me, if the concept is learning notes, learning just note values and things like that, I tried the traditional way with them. This is a whole note. It gets 4 beats, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, they got it. And I was like, okay, Maria, what could you do differently? Well, the next week we did it, I rapped it. And like they got with it. And I was like, okay, all right, give me a beat. And so somebody made up a beat, and I was like, all right, tell me about a whole note. Here we go. And it's like, it's a circle with no stem and it's not colored in. Okay, but now all 29 of my babies can tell you all about whole notes and half notes and quarters and blah, 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 and note values. And, I just met them on the levels that they were at, because the end goal is that they read music. That's my end goal. And to me, I really don't care how we get there, as long as by the end of the day, they can read music. So if we have to rap it or sing it, or, whatever we have to do, if I have to put it on TikTok and we renegade to it or whatever that is, we got to do all that, whatever it takes for me to get them to where I need them to go. To me, that's equity. Sometimes I feel like as educators, we put ourselves in these boxes where we have to teach like this. It has to be this way. Well, to me, no, it doesn't have to be this way. To me, it can be any way it needs to go, as long as we get back to what the goal is. Whatever the concept is, I'll teach you the concept. But if you're not, if I see that this way is not reaching you, then I'm gonna find another way to teach you. That's equity. Just making sure that we can make sure that all the kids have access to learn the materials that we need them to learn.
I love that. It's great. And using our creativity, like we are artists, and sometimes I feel like we get really tied up in, like you said, music has to be taught a certain way. We get tied up in the choral octavo, and if it's not in an octavo, it's not choral music. No. Like, you know, meet them where they are, and get them to that octavo however you need to, or don't, just get them where they need to be or where they want to be. um I love that though, and teaching music reading in fun and creative ways, and not just telling them what a whole note is.
Yeah.
Because they're never gonna hear you. I feel like that's when kids' eyes, you know, you can tell when they're listening, when their eyes are sparkling. And you could tell as soon as their eyes glaze over. Great. So as you know, I'm going to put you in a kind of a consultant role here. But as you look at choirs across the nation, you know, you've done a lot of these webinars, you've seen what's happening. What do you think needs to change? Like, if you were to give a charge to white conductors who, you know, what would the equity charge be for us?
I often see this question, and it bothers me. But I see questions that say, you know, as an educator, what can I do to teach my Black students? That question bothers me, because you're a teacher. I've taught in all Black spaces. I've taught in all white spaces, and I teach. I don't teach Black kids any different than I teach white kids. Just teach. Kids know when you're genuine. They can feel it. They know it. They know when you're genuine. And it's okay if you tell your students, I don't know everything. I am not every time I go into a space, I always start my lessons, especially if it's like an honor choir or something like that. I always tell my students, this is a safe space. You're gonna mess up. I'm gonna mess up. We're gonna laugh, and we're gonna move forward. So that takes away the I'm the queen of the room, and you're my subjects. No, I'm the teacher. I'm gonna teach you. I may mess it up. I may say the wrong word. I may sing an off note. I'm gonna mess it up, and that's okay. So as teachers now, who are, I guess we'll call it, who are now woke, what I suggest for you to do is just teach. And it's okay if you tell your Black students, your white students, whatever color students they are, if you say, look, I'm learning just like you are. I'm a lifelong learner. I may mess this up, but all I need y'all to do is just tell me, because my heart is for you. I love you, and I want to do everything in my power to make sure that you have the tools and the skills that you need to be successful. And if I say something about your culture that I may not know is offensive, I need you to tell me with love. I'm going to apologize with love, and I'm going to do my best to never make that mistake again, and we're going to move forward. I think that's all that anybody is requiring teachers to do. And once you know better, do better. There's a list right now of songs that I think I saw it on the Decolonizing the music room. If you're not on that page, you should get on that page. Brandy Pace is amazing. But she has that page, and then Cody Raven Morris, she's doing sessions about equity in music and things like that. If you don't know, then get on these webinars with these people who are having these conversations and learn. Jasmine, myself, Shantae Pittman, Greg Dennison, and Mr. Burrows, we did a talk yesterday. It was sponsored by King and I Productions. We did a talk yesterday that broke down a lot of things that are going wrong in music education, and we offer solutions. So if you don't know, you learn, because you know who's gonna do that? This girl. If there's something I don't know, then I'm gonna ask somebody. I'm gonna say, look, I wanna do this. I don't know how. Can you help me? Because at the end of the day, I need you so we can grow together. This stuff doesn't work if we're all separate, you over this side. No, we need each other so we can lift and grow together. That's how we make this music education thing more equitable. We work together and we fix it. Stuff that happened in the past, we learn from it, apologize if you need to, move forward. We can keep going forward and fixing it.
Right. Right. And I love what you said, you know, when you started at the St. Louis Children's Chorus, you asked questions. And I think that that is just so enlightening. And I think it's something that we all do, but I think that we do definitely need to do more of it in our schools, in our communities. Ask the questions and, you know, and figure out the answers and how you can be a part of those answers, and answer your own questions, whether that's through Google or colleagues or whatever. Okay, so what is the best way for music educators to make students of color feel valued, appreciated, and like they have a voice? And you spoke to this a little bit. Of course, we love them. Of course, you know, we be the best educators that we can be. But, you know, is there anything you want to add to that, to give them,
Yes.
make them feel appreciated and like they have a voice?
Get to know your kids, number one. Get like all of your kids. I don't care what color they are. Get to know them. Get to know their names and call them by the correct name. So many times, I have a friend, she's Black, and she and I started, I was at the university before she got there. And soon as she came to the university, she immediately became Maria. And I was trying to figure out, how is she Maria and I've been here longer than she has? You all know me. You know that I'm Maria. I'm not Michelle. But some type of way, when she came, she became Maria and I became Michelle. And that bothered me so much, because to me, people weren't taking the time to really get to know our names, learn our names, learn how to pronounce our names. Don't judge me when you meet me. You don't know me, so don't judge me. Start everybody off with an equal shot. Get to know my culture. Don't come in and say, oh yeah, well, rap music is bad. Well, you may not like it, and that's okay if you don't like it. But to make blanket statements like that, what you're doing is you're devaluing not only the student, but a culture. Because in that person's household, rap may be the only thing that they grow up with, and that could be their parents' pride and joy music. And what you've just told them is you and your parents are wrong. So value what they value. I don't have pets. There are no pets in my house, and there'll never be pets in my house. Never, ever, ever in life. I'm not a pet person. But people who have dogs, I know that people love their dogs and cats and fish and things like that. I don't have to have it in my house, but I can be respectful that you have dogs and cats and stuff in your house. That's your house, and I can respect that. I may be scared to death when I come to your house, but I can still respect it and not dismiss you because you have a dog or cat because of my own personal feelings. So I think people should do that. You really should learn. We really all should learn how to value each other and value what they like, and then take interest in something they like. I remember when I was student teaching, I had 9th grade boys was my second class, and I couldn't get them to buy into the music at all. Like, they were not having it. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, why don't y'all like this music? And that particular class, even though the school was all white, that particular class had like 4 Black boys in it. 4 Black boys and like 5 white boys. It was a small class. And they were like, well, it's white people music and we don't like that, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, what kind of music y'all like? And I go, well, we like hip hop. And I was like, so you know that some hip hop artists have sampled some of the classical artists. And they was like, no, they didn't. So I did a whole lesson about artists who sampled, hip hop artists who sampled classical music. And I was like, look at all this classical music that your hip hop friends, that your hip hop artists that you like, you guys idolize, how they sampling this music. So if they think it's cool music. And I was like, oh, okay, Missy, okay. And then since we got beyond that, it was just white music. Well, now we can get with it. And then they were able to do the songs that I wanted them to do. So just just finding those ways to find value. Now, I'm not a rap person. I didn't grow up on that. I'm a gospel person. Um, I grew up very religious in a strict household and things like that. So we couldn't listen to rap growing up. But I grew up with gospel music. And it hurts my feelings every time I hear somebody say, you know, we have these auditions, but don't sing a gospel song. Well, what am I supposed to sing? That's all I know. What, why not? If I can sing, I can sing. Does it really matter? I can sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. If you're a good musician, you can tell whether or not I can stay in tune. You can tell my tonation, my pitch. You can tell all of that on just Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So why does it matter? So things like that, removing the barriers, helps, and it makes us feel valued. It definitely makes me feel valued. I also feel valued when I see things in the classroom that look like me. You mean to tell me that there are no pictures of any Black people in your classroom? You only have pictures of Beethoven and Bach? There are no pictures of any of other people of color who've created music? So finding those resources, and if those resources don't exist, you know, times have changed. We got all these little systems where we can create these resources. You can create whatever you want, or go to Teachers Pay Teachers and find stuff. There are people who have things on websites. You can buy things off my website, girlconductor.com. There's resources that you can go find so you can have these things in your classroom. So in 2020, I don't think we have excuses anymore of not having this or not having that. Those days are over, because what you can't find, you can go create. And what you can't create, you can go buy. And if you can't buy it or create it, you can go find somebody who can do it and say, this is what I need. Can you do it for me? And you pay for it. As my daughter would say, period.
Yes. I love all of that. I'm learning so much. So we have a few minutes left. I would love to hear questions from attendees. If you guys have any, put them in the chat. And Maria, we didn't talk about this, but would you maybe want to read us a story? One of your favorites? You can say no, but you know, it might be kind of fun.
Oh, I don't have a book nearby. I mean, I have one, but yeah, I'll read one. Sure.
Okay. Yay. Okay.
Take questions.
Okay. Yeah. Attendees, if you guys have any questions. I should have thought of that ahead of time and, you know, given you a heads up, but
that's okay.
Oh, here's our Q&A. I didn't even see. Holly asks, can you share your Amazon book list with us?
Yes.
She said she means the address so that we can contribute to it.
Yes. How should I do that so I don't put it all over the world? Should I just put it like in the chat?
Yeah, you can put it in the chat. I know, that's the scary thing. I mean, somebody asking you.
They can come over. They probably don't want that smoke. But I'll put it in chat.
Awesome.
And I take all kinds of books, which is so cool. We literally have books from all over, from various cultures. So it's not just Black books. We have of course white books. We have the Latinx books. We have Hispanic books. We have Asian books. We have all kinds of books that represent all kind. I have all kind of kids in my choir. And not only do I use these with my elementary choir, my high school choir as well. We read books in that choir. We had a book club where we read a book from Wynton Marsalis about his journey to being as brilliant as he is. And we read those books. So reading across all levels, just making sure that they are on level with their reading.
Yeah. And you know, middle schoolers and high school kids, they never get read to. They love it, you know? I think they really do enjoy it. My choir teacher in high school would always read us Walter the Farting Dog. That was her book of choice.
Not Walter. So I'll read. I was going to read not quite so white, Snow White, but I think it's long. So I'll read. Mary Had a Little Glam, and
Okay.
I'll do it. I'm not going to sing it because when I sing it, my piano player is with me, and I'm not going to embarrass myself on this call because it's on Facebook Live. But I'll read it. I'll read it as though I was with my babies. So here we go. Mary had a little glam. Mary had a little glam that grew into a lot. And everywhere that Mary went, she wasn't hard to spot. Meow, is that your curtain? But one day she started school, she caught some by surprise. Sweet Mary shrugged and hugged her mom. I must accessorize. Then Mary click-clacked down the block in frilly formal wear. And by the time she got to school, she added extra flair. When Mary took a look around, her heart was filled with woe. The other kids were glamless from head to toe. So Mary offered fashion tips, more pink, more beads, more shine. A hat for him, a trim for her. Go, Boa, it's divine. Soon Mary brought out glitz and glam in everyone she met. The students, teacher, principal, and Clark, the classroom packed. Now story time had gowns and crowns and mounds of striped chiffon. The art class came with glitter glue and trips to her salon. She's quite fabulous, can't you see? Then Mary amped up music class with pomp and circumstance. And checkout time, she was sublime, left nothing to a chance. The morning flew, and so it was, the best part of the day. It's recess time, the teacher said, and Mary led the way. But all came to a sudden stop. Each kid surveyed the scene. We clearly dressed all wrong for this. Boo-hoo, the 17. Poor Mary with her parasol, the crisis was at hand. She'd never figure out a plan. All was lost, but then she tossed her shades and silk-lined cape, her scarf and strappy shoes, and Mary's friends were just as fast. There was no time to lose. The class raced for the jungle gym, the spiral slide and swings. Then Mary grinned and grabbed a ball, among some other things. Now Mary's flair for what to wear is better than before. True glamour often calls for lots, but sometimes less is more. And that's Mary Had a Little Glam.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Oh, I want to have a little glam. I feel like Corona has taken away the glam and well, thank you so much for that. I just loved it. I'm like tearing up because I want to read to kids again. Applause I see in the comments. So we want to invite everybody, if you would like to donate to the cause, you know, we're paying for these webinars with the money from our concert that we didn't have. So if you would like to donate to the cause, you can text Ellis to 44321. Or there's a link on Facebook as well. And you know, even just $10, I'm also using some of my own professional development funds. I asked my admin, I was like, hey, can I just like hire private tutors to tutor me? And they said, yeah, you can. So part of that is going to you as well. But if you would like to donate, we would appreciate that. Also, tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, so in about 45 minutes, Maria is going to lead a community sing with my women's chorus, which we open to anybody who wants to join in. So do you want to, what's your plan? We haven't even talked about it.
What's the plan for singing tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we are going to my bread and butter, which is some gospel, but songs that unify us. So we'll be singing one of Hezekiah Walker's songs, I Need You to Survive. And I'll speak more about why I chose that song and why it's so relevant in this day and age. But it's a beautiful piece, so we definitely will be singing that. And there's some other little things that we can just sing together and be happy and united and sing about. So it's going to be fun. I also want to say that I use money that I receive from things like that. I use this to help build my library. So if anybody wants to, I've seen people that like you, people saying, well, I want to donate to the cause or whatnot. Okay, here's a cause you can donate to. I'm a Black librarian, and I'm collecting books and purchasing books for my choir kids. This is a predominantly black group, but we're so much more than just music, but it's the music and it's that extra element of reading. I want all my babies to be reading at level and beyond. So not even just the ones that are reading at level. I challenge them to go beyond. So reading is so important to me.
Yes, love it. Okay, well, we thank you so much to everybody who has joined. Thank you to Maria. You're fantastic. I've learned so much. I know that everybody who will watch this now and in the future will too. So the link for tonight's 7:30 session will be up on Facebook shortly. And yeah, we hope to see you then.
Yay! Well, thank you again for allowing me to have this space. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all who watched, and thanks for all who will watch. I really appreciate it. I'd like to plug my website if I can. You can go to www.girlconductor.com. There are several resources that you can purchase to help you with your classroom, as well as free resources. So I've created soul-fed chains, that we all use our signs and whatnot. So I've created those, but they have a little more melanin in them. And it works. I don't care if your space is all white. It works because it's showing that you have value in other skin tones and in other types of people. So that's a free download that you can get off my website, that you can use in your space. So
wonderful. Yes, I've downloaded a couple of your things already and plan definitely to do more. So yeah, I hope this is the beginning of a long-lasting friendship because I want to come to St. Louis. I've only been there once and it was to drive through to ACDA.
Oh, okay.
So
whenever you come over and I'll cook for you and we'll go out and show you the town. So it'll be fine.
Fantastic. I won't bring any dogs.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Just books. Okay. Thank you so much, Maria. We'll see you tonight.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night.
Bye.
Later.